Now, every time I make a video about Jedi and their no attachments rule, which I did just a couple days ago, there ends up being a bit of a discussion or debate in the comments about just what exactly are attachments anyway. At least what are they in relation to Star Wars, or what is the George Lucas definition of them that the Jedi are supposed to avoid? And there are always some who seem to take the rule a bit too literally, I guess you could say, who seem to think attachments are anything you care about at all or to any extent, which leads to this strange belief by some that Jedi are supposed to suppress, rather than simply control, any and all emotions, especially anything even remotely resembling love, and that they're not allowed to even have friends. Which is all kind of silly when you think about it, that Jedi are supposed to devote their entire lives to helping others, to serving the greater good, but they're not allowed to feel anything at all or care about anyone they help. When in all reality, the reason why they want to help others is because they actually do care very much. They're supposed to love virtually everyone the same amount. They're supposed to have unconditional love for all, and it's almost ironically Anakin Skywalker who describes this best in Episode 2.
Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is central to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love.
And though that gives us a good idea of how a Jedi should live, that love is not only okay and encouraged, but it's actually the key to it all, it still doesn't let us know what exactly attachments are, again according to Lucas or within the Star Wars galaxy for the Jedi. And so probably the simplest way to put it, albeit maybe not exactly the best, is that attachments are anything you've grown to care about so much that you're unwilling or unable to let them go, to the point where you're always thinking about them, worried about them, and have become so obsessed that you'll do whatever it takes to keep them. Which obviously doesn't work well for a Jedi or conflicts greatly with this idea that they should care about everyone equally. It's hard to keep your mind here and now where it belongs when you're busy thinking about or worrying about your stuff or that person you love above all else. Nor will you likely make the right call when it potentially comes down to having to, pick between saving the one you love and ending the rule of the Sith forever. And so the problem then for a Jedi and attachments is that they lead to selfishness, especially when it concerns another person that they've become attached to, because it is selfish to keep another person in your life when they have their own destiny to find and fulfill. Which is something that, again, almost ironically, Anakin's mother, Shmi, understood very well when she let her son go. A son she obviously loved very, very much, but knew it'd be selfish to keep him around just so she could still have him in her life.
Anakin, this path has been placed before you. The choice is yours alone.
And this all relates to some of the core ideas of Star Wars. Heck, George Lucas has said the prequels are all about letting go, or failing to, and what happens when you can't or refuse to. That we all must come to accept one of the most important truths of life. That change is the only constant, that nothing lasts forever, and we have to learn to accept that.
I don't want things to change.
But you can't stop the change, any more than you can stop the suns from setting.
Furthermore, Lucas has also said that everyone, literally everyone, not just the important people or Force users, that they have a fate or purpose if they choose to pursue it, and if they're allowed to pursue it. Which is one of the main problems with the Sith, why they cause imbalance, because their own selfishness oftentimes leads to controlling others on a rather large or galactic scale. And the reason why Jedi existing and Sith not existing doesn't cause imbalance is because the Jedi are selfless, and you could say they even protect people's choice to pursue their destiny unhindered. And speaking of all that, of the dark side, now we get to the part that I think is kind of the sticking point, or what some people take issue with when it comes to all of this, or maybe just don't fully understand. That being the idea, again from Lucas, I'm not giving my own takes on all of this, not that I necessarily disagree with him, but his idea is that attachments are what lead to the dark side for Jedi because they lead to selfishness, and then the fear of loss, and then fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, then to suffering, and, basically what Yoda said. And the reason why some will argue so vehemently against all of this, well, first of all, as I was kind of talking about, they're under the impression that Jedi are loveless, emotionless beings who can't even have friends, and who get no joy out of life whatsoever, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Being a Jedi is a hard life, yes, but it's also its own reward. It gives one a profound sense of purpose and meaning beyond just having a bunch of cool stuff and maybe having that one special person that you value above all else. Which isn't to make the Jedi sound all righteous or full of themselves, or like they look down upon those who live a simple life and fall in love and live that kind of life. In fact, you could even say the Jedi exist in order to ensure people can have and pursue that simple kind of life if they want to. That what gives them that profound sense of meaning is knowing others can find happiness because of them, because they safeguard the galaxy. But still, why can't Jedi also find that special someone and get married? And it's that question which usually kind of gets conflated with the whole attachments argument, or what it all boils down to. When people argue Jedi should have attachments, they're generally arguing for them to be able to fall in love and get married, more so than anything else. And I'll admit in previous videos on this topic, I haven't really gone into this or articulated it as well as I probably could have and should have, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video now. Either way, this is mainly the argument or aforementioned sticking point, that Jedi should be allowed to get married, and that, as I've even argued before, some Jedi would no doubt be able to get married and still be Jedi, maybe even most of them. At most, if push comes to shove, they'd be able to set that special someone aside, even let them die, if it's for the greater good. But the issue here is why it's just flat out not allowed by the Jedi Code is because when you marry someone, it's very much implied, heck, it's right in the vows, that you will attach yourself to them and place them above all others. I mean, there's not much of a point in marrying someone if you're not going to cherish them and value them and attach yourself to them to some degree. If all you're going to do is treat them the same way you would any old friend, why marry them? And since the Jedi are not supposed to do any of that, they're not supposed to value any person above another, and since it can almost inevitably, according to Lucas, lead to the dark side for them when they do, you could argue this is all, in a strange sort of way, a moot argument. That either a Jedi getting married means they're more in a mutual agreement to really, really like each other up to a certain point and never really prioritize each other, or that they're saying, yes, I will prioritize this person as my vows say I will, and that might make me become too possessive of them and fall to the dark side, but I'm willing to risk it anyway for them. Either way, what you really need to keep in mind here is what the story is meant to represent or convey. You're not supposed to, shall we say, get lost in the weeds of the details, even though as fans we like to look at all of this and debate and discuss it. And as I've said many times before, I think the sequels should have explored the idea of attachments further in order to, or in an effort to, make it more clear what Lucas was trying to say, to make the message, which is a very important message, resonate even further. And what that message actually is that life is meant to be enjoyed in the moment. You're supposed to go with the flow, not try to hold on to the past or fret too much over the future. We should enjoy and appreciate the people we have in our lives right now and understand that one way or another, they will eventually leave you or you leave them. And the harder we try to hold on to them, the harder we try to hold on to anything in life, the more painful we make that eventual parting on ourselves. Well, that's all I've got for this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about all this. Tell me what you think of Lucas's idea of attachments, and if you think the Jedi should still be allowed to get married and do all that good stuff. Because I do think, yeah, there is a great fun conversation and debate to be had around all this. Either way, leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.